guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this chunky and oversized hooded sweater. So I will have the written pattern available on my Patreon. The link will be down below in the description box. Also on my Patreon, I'm going to walk you through how to do different sizing, and as soon as you become a subscriber, you have access to every single pattern that I've ever written. So make sure to check it out. And I just want to give a big thank you to everyone who supports my art by subscribing on Patreon. So yeah, the sweater works up so quickly and it's just super oversized. It has a dramatic hood and I just love it so much, and I know you guys will love it too. So let's go ahead and get started.
For this project, I'm going to be using the paint box yarn. This is the Simply Super Chunky yarn, and it is a super bulky weight 6 yarn. I will be using a 8mm hook with this project, and the color of this is Candy Floss Pink. So I'll probably be using 16 to 18 balls of yarn to complete my size small. This is 65 yards per ball, and I will link down below the website that I ordered this. They're having a really good sale where I got these for about a little bit over $3 each. So I will link that down below, and I will also have my Patreon linked down below where I will have the full written pattern and alternate sizing. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to walk through my size small. So to get started, I will begin on the sleeves. So I am going to be making a slip knot, and then I'm going to make a long chain that's going to run down the length of the sleeves. So for my size small, that'll be 43 chains. So now I've crocheted the initial chain of 43. I am going to be working this project in double crochet. I do want to have kind of a faux knit look, so it is probably worked better in half double crochet just so you can see the pattern a little bit better, but just for the sake of working this up quickly, I'm going to be working in double crochet, and I found that it still has a nice finish to it. So I'm going to prepare for the double crochet by wrapping the yarn around my hook, and then I'm going to skip that very next chain going back down the row, and I'm going to place my hook in the chain after that with 1 double crochet. And then I'm just going to place 1 double crochet per chain, making my way back down the row. So now I've made my way to the end of the row, placing 1 double crochet per chain. To get started on the next row, I'm going to chain 2, flip over the work, and now that chain 2 will count as the double crochet for that first chain. So I'm going to go right into that very next chain of the row with a double crochet, but I want to have a knit-like pattern, so I'm going to be working in the back loops only. So if you turn the chain towards you, you see the V shape. So we are going to ignore the first half of the chain and only be working into that back half of the chain. So I'm just going to place 1 double crochet per back chain for the remainder of this row. So now I've made it to the end of the row, placing double crochets in the back loops only. I am just going to be chaining 2 and flipping it over, and again the chain 2 will count as the first double crochet for the first chain. So then again, we are going to be working in the back loops only. So since this is the first double crochet for this first chain, I'm just going to go straight into that second chain of the row with a double crochet in the back loop only. So I am going to be doing a total of 15 rows, and this is going to be the width of the sleeve. So you can make this as long as you would like it to be. It will just make the sleeve more baggier. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off the 15 rows, and then I will show you what's next. So now I have finished both of the sleeves. I'm just going to weave in these loose ends later, and also I'm going to connect them together later and add a edging along the bottom of the sleeve once I've finished the body. So I'm just going to put these aside, and we're going to get started on one of the front panels.
So we're going to stick with the same pattern that we did for the sleeves. So I'm just going to make a slip knot and chain a total of 32. So now I have my chain of 32, and this front panel is going to go all the way to the edge of your shoulder, all the way down your front side. So if you want it to be longer, I'm going to keep mine sort of like a midriff length, so, or a crop top length. Just keep that in mind when you're doing this initial chain. And then so to get started on the pattern, I'm just going to chain an additional 2. And then I am going to be skipping that first chain and going into the chain after with a double crochet. And I'm going to place 1 double crochet in every chain of this row. So now I've made it to the end of the row of double crochet. I'm going to continue the pattern the same way we did the sleeve and chain 2, flip over the work, and we're going to be working into the back chains, placing 1 double crochet in every chain. So for this front panel, I am going to do 4 rows of this, and then we're going to start on the hood while we make the front panel. So I'm just going to continue the pattern for 4 rows, and then I'll be back to show you what's next. So now I have completed 4 rows of the double crochet. I am going to work the hood into the front panel as I'm crocheting along, so I don't have to attach a hood on later, and I like how it'll just have a seamless flow into the neck. So at the end of the 4th row, all I'm going to do is begin chaining off. So I'm going to chain off as long as I would like the hood to be. So for my size, it's going to be slightly baggy, oversized hood. I'm going to do a total of 36 chains. So now I have my chain of 36. I am just going to skip that next chain of the row and just go working my way back down the chain with double crochets, 1 double crochet in every chain. So now I've made my way to the main portion of the body off of the hood. So I am just going to continue the pattern of working into the back chains only, and I'm going to make my way all the way down and then all the way back up the hood. So I'm just going to continue on. I am going to be doing some increases at the top of the hood, so I'm just going to make my way down, make my way all the way back up, and then show you the increase that I'm going to do.
Now I have made my way back up to the end of the row. I have placed 1 double crochet in that very last chain, and now every time you come back up to the end of the hood, we are going to be increasing. So I'm just going to be placing a total of 2 double crochets through that very last chain of the row, and you will do that every time you make your way back up the hood. And then to begin the next row, I'm just going to chain 2, flip over the work, and then again just continuing the pattern. So I'm going to skip over that first chain that's connected to the chain 2, placing a double crochet in the back chain of the chain after, and I'm just going to make my way all the way down and back up. And then again, when you come all the way back up, you're going to do an increase, just placing 2 double crochets in that last chain of the row.
So I'm just going to come back and let you know how many rows I end up doing.
So now I have finished the first panel of the front. I ended up doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows of the hood. So I'm just going to stop there, and then I am going to make another one exactly the same, which I have actually already done, and then I'm going to get started on the back. And then once we're done with the back, we are just going to put it all together and do some edging. So this actually is working up really quickly because of how thick the yarn is, and I don't know, I feel like I've only been crocheting for a few hours, which is kind of unheard of for a big chunky sweater like this. So that is good news. So I'm gonna get started on the back. So we're basically gonna do a panel this length to match the front portion. So I've decided, okay, so I'm just going to begin with a slip knot, and then I'm going to chain 34, the same as beginning of one of the front panels. So I'm just going to start this the same exact way as the front panel. I'm going to do 5 rows of double crochet in the back loops only. I'm just going to speed through this and come back once I'm in the 5th row. Okay, so I have done a total of 5 rows, which I'm going to change up the pattern a little bit as I go. So I am actually just going to do the full back panel with no hood, and I'm just going to end up reattaching the yarn and then just crocheting off to make the hood a little bit thicker off of the front panels only. And then when I attach it, I just feel like it's going to attach a lot easier. So yeah, change of plans. I'm just going to continue this back piece for a total of 24 rows, and we're not doing any increase for the hood. So I'm just going to continue regular rows of double crochet into the back loops only, and then I will come back and show you what I'm doing to finish off the hood. Okay, so now I have the front panel. I'm going to be adding onto the hood because for the back portion, I didn't want to put any of the hood onto that. I'm just gonna do it all on the front. So I did kind of work out the pattern already on this other side just so I can make sure that it works. So I'm just gonna quickly show you. So this is the front part of the panel that's going to go across your body, and then this is where the hood is going to be. So as you can see, I'm going to reattach on the bottom, and it might be a little off with the pattern, but it's fine. It's going to be folded in, so you won't be able to tell. So I'm just going to reattach on the bottom, and then I'm going to be doing some decreases. So I'm going to walk you through the decreases, but essentially we're just going to be adding 6 more rows onto the edge of the hood. So I'm going to show you on this other side.
So where the hood meets the shoulder is where I'm going to reattach my yarn.
Okay, so I just did a double knot, and I'm just going to chain 2. That's going to count as the double crochet for this first chain. And then it is going to be a little tricky, I noticed, with the other side that I already did. Chaining into the back loops on this side it's a little bit difficult, but just try your best to get your hook through. So yeah, I'm just going to be placing 1 row of double crochet into the back loop, and I'll come back once I reach the top. So now I've made my way to the end of the row, and starting with this row and for all of the rows on your way up, we are not going to be chaining into that last chain of the row. So as you can see, I have my last chain lining up with the second to last chain. So there's still going to be 1 more chain of the row, but we're going to be skipping that because we want this to angle downward. And please ignore all the chains that I need to weave in. So now I'm going to chain 2, flip over the work, and we are also going to be decreasing at the beginning of every row along this edge. So to decrease, I'm going to prepare for a double crochet, go into the next chain of the row, so the chain that's connected to the chain 2, this counts as the first double crochet of the row. So I'm going to go through that next chain of the row, yarn over, pull through 2, and then I'm going to yarn over, go through that next chain of the row, yarn over, pull through 2, and then pull through 3. So that's going to decrease in those first 2 chains. And then I'm just going to make my way down the row as usual, placing 1 double crochet per chain, and then I will be back once I reach the bottom of the row. Okay, so now I'm reaching the end of the row for the hood, so just make sure you're not skipping over that last chain because you want this to be square at the bottom. There, so that is the last chain. So then now I'm just going to chain 2, flip over the work, and begin this row as normal. We're not doing any increase or decrease along the bottom. This is just going to kind of like match up perfectly, and then we're only doing the decreases along the top. So I'm just going to make my way down, and I'll walk you through the decrease again 1 more time.
Okay, so now I'm reaching the top, and I just want to walk you through this because you will have the decrease on this end of the row. So just don't be confused because these two chains from the row beneath are just going to come up into one chain at the top.
Mommy, look.
Wow.
The octopus grabs sea monsters.
Wow.
Is that cool?
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, so
this chain will be the last chain that we place because we're going to be skipping that last chain of the row to count as the decrease on the way up. So I'm just going to place, oh, I went through. I still want to just go through the back loop. So I'm just going to place 1 double crochet through the second to last chain, and then that ends our row. So now I'm just going to chain 2, flip over the work, and then we're going to do a decrease in those first 2 chains.
Sorry, Mommy.
Why?
Because I make that sound with the lobster.
It's okay. So that is our decrease, and then we're just going to make our way down. So I'm just going to speed through the rest of this. I'm going to do a total of 6 rows for this portion of the hood, continuing to decrease on the way up and on the way down, and then leaving this a square. So I'm just going to quickly finish that, and then we're going to start putting the whole thing together. So this is at the very last bit of the work that we have to do before we put it together. So now we just need to put it together, and then we're going to be doing an edging. So I will be back once I've finished this section. So now I have finished this section of the hood. I made a mistake. I actually did 7 rows, not 6. So now that I have finished, I'm just going to repeat that so if you haven't already, just repeat that for the other side. And then now I'm going to be attaching it all together. So when you line up your front panels, I'm going to do my best to show you. It's kind of large and out of the... So I'm not going to cut. Okay. Okay, you guys, please be quiet. Mommy working.
What?
Why just spill another one? Okay, so now I have lined it up. So you're gonna want the long portion to match up next to each other, and then the shoulder pieces where the hood juts out is gonna be on the sides. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna begin by attaching the hood. So I'm actually gonna flip these and fold it. So I'm going to begin by attaching it. You can cut and tie if you want. And then what I would do is just attach it at the very bottom, make your way up, and then you're going to attach these sides together. So then you're gonna make your way all the way around to the very top. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that to attach the hood together, and then I'll be back to show you what's next. So now I've attached the hood together all the way through the back and to the top. And so now I'm just going to align the back piece onto the back. And then I'm gonna be attaching, starting at the shoulder, and then I'm gonna attach the hood on as well as I'm doing the shoulder. Oh wait, you are gonna wanna do it inside out. So, I forgot about that. I've connected the shoulders in the back. I'm gonna begin on connecting the sleeves, but I just wanna be real with you guys. I ended up wanting to switch up the pattern for the hood. So I wanted to be flat on the top, and I'm making up the pattern as I go, and I've never watched any other person's hood pattern or looked up a hood pattern. So I am going to alter the pattern. So the altered pattern for what I want to do is going to be on my Patreon. The pattern that I wrote originally still works, but I just wanted it to be a little bit tighter on the hood. So I ended up just sewing it with my sewing machine to see if that's the style that I wanted. So I'm not going to redo it for this tutorial, but the updated pattern will be on my Patreon. So I'm sorry about that, but
yeah, just being real with you guys. I'm gonna end up cutting this off so it will kind of be a raw edge, but yeah, if you want the pattern that I am gonna rewrite, just check out my Patreon. But if you keep it the way that I originally wrote it, it's fine too. It's just extra oversized, extra large around like framing your face. So there's that. So now I'm gonna attach these sleeves. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna begin by just attaching the actual sleeve to itself first. So I'm going to begin along the wrist and work my way up, and then I'm just going to align it up to the body and just make my way all the way around, and then continue it down to connecting the front and the back panel together. So I am going to be doing a lot of this attaching off camera because I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. Again, if you need any extra assistance with connecting, just please leave me a message or message me on Patreon, and I'd be happy to create a full in-depth video on how I connect sweater pieces together. Okay, so now we're towards the end of the project. It's too big to show on camera, but everything is connected and it's looking really chunky and really cozy. And the hood with the alternate pattern is perfect, so look out for that on Patreon. But now I'm going to do some edging. You could leave this just open if you want, but I want mine to curl inward and be tight on my wrist so that it can just bunch up and be chunky instead of hang over my hand. So all I'm going to do is, I'm on ball 16 by the way, so this does take quite a bit of yarn, but all I'm going to do is attach it to one of the chains around the wrist. It doesn't matter which one. So I'm just going to go around the edge, placing one round of single crochet. So now I've made my way around the wrist, and I am just going to connect my, I'm going to connect my hook into that very first chain and create a slip stitch, and then I'm going to chain one. Then now I'm just going to go around placing my hook through one single crochet in each of the next 3 chains. So I did 3, and then now I'm going to decrease. So I'm going to place my hook through the chain, yarn over, pull through, don't finish it, go over through the next chain, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through 3. So I'm going to do that sequence of 3 and then 1 decrease. So now I finished that second row. I am just going to do it the same way by connecting my hook through that very first chain of the row with a slip stitch to close it off, and then I'm going to chain 1. And then now this time I'm going to do the decrease in the first 2 chains of the row just so that they can stagger. So then I have a decrease, and then I'm going to place 1 single crochet for the next 3 chains. And then decrease again. So I'm going to do that pattern for the rest of this round. Okay, so now I have connected it with the slip stitch. I'm going to chain 1, and for the next 2 rows, I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the next 2 chains and then decrease. So I'm increasing the number of decreases. So then 1 single crochet in the next 2 chains and then decrease. So I'm going to do that for the next 2 rows.
So once you're finished, then just cut and fasten it off, and then repeat that same process for the other sleeve. So now I'm going to reattach my yarn to one of the corners of the bottom, and then I'm going to be doing 1 row of single crochet.
Okay, so now I've made it all the way to the end. I'm just going to chain 1, flip over the work, and then I'm going to do the same pattern as the sleeve. So I'm just going to do one row of decreasing just because it's so chunky and oversized. It would be nice to have it curl in a little bit. So now I just finished off 2 rows of edging along the bottom. You could continue that to curl it in more, but I'm just going to stop there. But otherwise, this is pretty much it for the project. All I have left to do is just weave in all of the loose strands.
And then you could always add buttons if you want, or like a tie. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial. The pattern will be up on my Patreon, and all my links will be in the description box, and I will see you in my next video.